Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Minh and I'm your host for today from NDS Property Australia here in Brisbane, and you're listening to the SDA Housing Podcast, a show that explains, highlights, guides and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing world. Today we have two wonderful guest speakers from the Gold Coast at Varsity Lakes who've come down all the way to Brisbane to join us, and they're from HomeGuardian. Is it HomeGuardian AI or HomeGuardian?
HomeGuardian AI is fine.
Mate. Kane, Kat, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So, Kat, Kane, who are you? Tell me who you are and what you do.
So I work at HomeGuardian to basically create a rapport and a relationship with providers and help guide their clients on and to see if we're the best for them. Mm-hmm. Best assistive technology.
Wonderful. Kane?
So I'm the founder and co-CEO of HomeGuardian AI. So, been there from the beginning and through to it being an idea to now delivering it to thousands of people across Australia and around the world.
In essence, what is this business model?
So what we do, and this is something that I talk to staff about, what we do is actually provide peace of mind. So we've got technology that has never been seen before, and it allows people to remain independent for longer, to allows their family to know that they're okay, and do so in a way that is non-intrusive. So we're completely passive in the way that we do things.
Excuse my ignorance, but are we just talking about automation here, or is there something more different than that?
No, it's completely different actually. And it is, unless you live and breathe this stuff, conceptually it's a little bit of a challenge, but what we have built is a smart home device that analyzes the interaction between human beings and their surroundings, and then can let you know when there's abnormal or notable interaction that occurs. So that could be something very obvious and acute, like a fall, or it could be absence and wandering or something like that, through to something more gradual, such as a slow decline in health, increase in fatigue, or even the onset of behaviours that are in line with COVID or flu or pneumonia, for example. Declining
health?
Yes.
So what devices or contraptions are you talking about that is applicable to these homes for the disabled people? What
So all we provide is our HomeGuardian product. So it's literally just a smart home device, and it sits in a room and will passively monitor that interaction. So for people that are living with disabilities, that's the kind of thing whereby they can go about their life living in their home, and doing things as they normally would. And then based on the rules that you set or the behaviors that we've already taught the AI, it will actually determine if there's a problem or not. So for example, using our product, laying on the floor, never usually a good thing. So that's the kind of thing that you would want to know about straight away.
So one device per room or one device for their house?
Yeah, so most people will sort of purchase 2 or 3 of our devices to put in the main areas of a home, depending on the size of your home, obviously. But most of the time, people will put one in the living room, one in the bedroom, and one in the kitchen or bathroom based on the layout of your home. And then HomeGuardian, not all of the sensors require line of sight or to be in that space, but most of them do, and it works best in the space it's in. But HomeGuardian can also work by exception. So it knows when you are present in that room, but it also knows when you're not present as well. So if you wanted to know, it's not a worry if the person isn't there. It is a worry if they're not there for an hour and a half. That's the kind of thing that you can be alerted on as well.
Gotcha. So Kat, you deal with the providers?
Yes.
What do they normally ask you when they ring you and talk to you?
What is it, mainly? They're so lost in this world of technology. They want to know what it's going to do and how it's going to help the client. And it's my job to make it as simple as possible for them.
So what are the top 3 common questions they ask you?
1, how many devices, which you've already talked about. How is it going to give peace of mind to clients and family? And how is it really going to help long term?
So peace of mind to family. So you're basically saying with this smart tech, the families or the participants can also track and see what's going on in the house with their member?
Yeah, so there is an app, so they can get peace of mind when they leave the home. They get that moment where they don't have to worry about, is my participant, my family member, going to be safe in my home? Because we'll alert them if something happens.
Yeah. I think with the NDIS market being 550,000 people now, I think. Only 6% is the SDA market, which is where we work in.
Yeah.
Right? But most of the time, there's normally a full-time carer there, right? However, the other 94% of the market, where the still providers work and live in, the majority of participants in the NDIS sector who are not on 24/7 care, which means they're not being looked after 24/7, right? They need technology to help monitor their lifestyle, their progress, their health, their survival, I guess. And this product would be magnificent. So in layman's terms, Kat, this is like automation with smart tech, very advanced, easy to install, or there's no cabling. It's just very simple.
Very little cabling. Yeah. It's more like set and forget. I mean, you just talked about participants who have carers or no carers full time. I've just had an NDIS coordinator reach out to me because her client wants to keep their privacy in the bathroom. So they're putting one device just in the bathroom because they have care everywhere else in the home. So it's complete peace of mind now. The family does not have to worry anymore.
Is this product funded by the NDIS?
Yep, absolutely. So our product is fully funded under NDIS funding, as well as your aged care and transitional funding, all the rest of it. Falls into low-cost, low-risk AT. Can also be funded under your consumables and home modifications budget as well.
When would an application to the NDIS not be funded for a participant?
I mean, look, everything always has to be necessary and reasonable, right? Like that's part of the whole mandate. So if somebody just wants our device because, we are the first in the world to do this technology. We're an Australian-owned company. People see it and sometimes go, I want it because it's new. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's important for them to have. So occasionally it's just not suitable for the participant. But because our product has such a wide range of application, for example, we can measure things like sentiment, so mental wellness and declines and spikes in mental health, which is really valuable to know that kind of information. So that's something where, sure, I mean, physically, this person may not have any physical, ability impairments or anything like that, but there may be some cognitive challenges. Our product is still suitable for those people. So it is very rare that our product is not something that can be funded.
Can I ask you a silly question?
Sure.
How does a device sitting somewhere in a room tell me that my health is declining?
So what we measure is the interaction between you and your surroundings. So what we'll do is we'll measure things like, okay, well, how is your movement throughout the home? How long are you interacting with your bed and your chair? So a perfect example for you is this. Let's say typically, you get out of bed at about 8:30 in the morning, get up, make breakfast, you might sit down and watch TV, do other bits and pieces, maybe have some family come over and visit, etc. Let's say all of a sudden you're interacting with your bed for longer, so you're sleeping in for longer. We've also noticed there's a 35% spike in coughing and sneezing, and at the same time, there has been less visitors to the home in the last month. We've noticed an increase in things like negative sentiment, so potentially crying or things like that. And then you couple that together and all of a sudden you've got a picture being painted where this person is probably getting sick. They're probably lonely because they haven't seen somebody. They're less active, staying in bed longer, sitting in the chair longer, etc. This is all empirical data. So rather than anecdotally saying, how are you? Really big challenge in Australia because it doesn't matter how people are. They're always fine, apparently. That's the kind of thing where you can arm carers, even in full-time care, you can arm carers with empirical data that allows them to make better decisions about the care that's being delivered. And that's how we're able to sort of monitor that and help. We can never replace one-on-one person care. We're not trying to do that. What we're trying to do is arm carers with the best tools available to make their job easier and ultimately have people live a better life.
This is really good because, it's hard for participants to actually go visit the doctor and the allied health regularly.
Absolutely.
Right. That's great. But how does the system know the person coughing is not the carer versus the participant or the other participants in the house? How do we differentiate that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Our product is technically capable of doing a lot more than it does. So we specifically don't identify between the human beings, the different humans in the home, because that actually then crosses the privacy line and we become surveillance technology. We're monitoring technology for health and wellness purposes. We're not surveillance technology. We're not security cameras. We're not nothing like that. So for our product to identify between individuals, it actually strays too far on that line. So we made a purpose design decision to not do that. So you're right. In that instance, we can't tell you if it is the carer coughing or the person coughing. But generally speaking, if you have a significant spike in coughing in a home, regardless if it's the carer or the other person, there is a risk of illness there, and it is something that is important to know. So it is still valuable information.
So in a group home, which is 5-6 bedrooms, I would assume that if some of the participants would be funded for this product, they would more likely to have it in their bedroom.
Absolutely, correct.
Yeah. Gotcha. So can we talk about
Sure.
the cost of the product?
Yeah, certainly. So our product costs $569, and there is a monthly subscription cost, which is actually licensing for the IP as well as the actual continuous updates. Our product is a unique one in that monthly cost is not actually just a subscription to fund our cash flow. What it actually does is it covers the cost of all of your updates for the AI. So we're continually making it better, detecting new behaviors, becoming more accurate, etc. And it just updates over the air. So as far as an investment goes for you to spend your funding on, ours is unique in that it is the least valuable for you it's ever going to be the day you buy it, and it only gets better.
What's the monthly cost then?
$30 a month.
Wonderful. I reckon everyone should have this.
Yeah, look,
I should have one as well.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, we wanted to make this because, we, as far as competing, we don't have any competitors in the market because we're the world leader in what we do. But as far as competing for funding spend, we compete against your traditional kind of, duress alarms, your push button pendants, your, sometimes you might have a smartwatch or something, or a pressure mat. Even those are the kind of things that we, compete for the same spend. But value for money, there's nothing that ever comes close to our funding model.
I think this product should be incorporated to all of our clients' investments because really $569 is nothing. $30 is nothing per person. And the trend in our industry really is 2 persons per house.
Yeah, so it's becoming smaller.
It's a very small cost anyway.
Yeah.
And if you're already buying a duress pendant for each client, it ends up being cost effective.
Have other participants or families looked at the product and go, well, this is not for me because of this reason, like as a negative?
Yeah, look, occasionally we've had people say it's not for me because they live at home, family of 5, they've already got pretty much round the clock coverage. But with that being said, these are people that we have conversations with and we say, not a problem. Maybe have a chat to us in a few years' time when, there's less people at home or people want to become more independent. Perfect example is we actually had a lady call us because her husband, NDIS participant, and she hadn't been able to leave the home and go and have coffee with her girlfriends for 3 years because, the state he was in had declined over those 3 years. And she was really worried about something happening to him. So she actually called us and said, I just wanted to call you and say I've been able to go and have coffee with my girlfriends for the first time in 3 years because I know he's okay at home. And if there is something wrong, I'll be able to address it straight away.
I'm looking at your website here. Is this the device?
Yes, correct. That's it. That's what it looks like.
Does it go on a wall or something? Or?
So it can be mounted to the wall, and we do sort of recommend that if it's going to stay in the one place, then it be mounted because it's just you can get the perfect angle and things like that. But it can also sit on a bookshelf or a mantelpiece, something like that. The reason it looks the way it does is it was designed to fit in a home. So we pretty quickly identified that, we're not the target market for our product. So we engaged a university to hold some person-centered design workshops and focus groups to design. That's why the size of it, the look and feel, the wood grain, the neutral tones, the material on the front, it's designed to be something that blends in when it's sitting in a home and not a clinical device because we want it to be as passive as possible.
I saw on your website earlier there was talk about detecting COVID-19.
Yeah, so part of and we have to be really careful with our claims, right? We don't detect COVID-19 symptoms, but what we do is we identify behaviours that are in line with those symptoms. So things like coughing and sneezing and respiratory distress and illness. We do that. And in our dashboard, you can actually overlay some of the World Health Organization standards for things like pneumonia and coughing signatures like that. So you can see how close you are getting to that. The idea being with our product, we do have a far-field audio array which listens for coughing and things like that. We also have a speaker built in for things like medication announcements, to remind people to take medication. But it is capable of doing two-way audio. So we're building our product to get to the point where not only can we tell you when you're starting to get dangerously sick with some of these illness symptoms, we can also then recommend you maybe have a telehealth consult. Like you said, sometimes it's difficult for people to get to the doctor, but then conduct the consult through our product. That's where we're getting to.
With the price so cheap, so economical, you guys have mass scale production to penetrate the whole market? What's the long-term goal here?
Absolutely. So the idea for our product is, it's not very often you get to be the first in the world to do something, and we hold the patents to it as well. But at the same time, we are really making a difference. When we have people call us up and say, "You saved my mum's life," that's what this is all about. So for us, it is about getting out there, awareness, doing things like this, talking with yourself, and having as much of our product out there as possible, because the more of our product we have out there, the more we can fine-tune what we're doing and make it better again. So we have about 5,000 units out in circulation in Australia alone. There's another 5,000 landing in the country shortly. We have an MOU with the UAE government where they're deploying it across some of the elderly population in the Middle East. We've received FDA approval in America, which is unheard of for a product like ours. We have distribution in China and Hong Kong. We're really just trying to, take the world by storm and save people's lives ultimately.
So 5,000 units deployed. What percentage of that is the aged care versus disability care?
It's probably about 50%, I'd say. About 50%. We were, when we built the product, coming at this, I'm a nerd, right? So coming at this from the tech standpoint, I didn't know. I knew that what we could do had value for people providing care, disability care or aged care. I didn't know what kind of value it would have or how impressive it would be for some of these people to use. So then when we actually went to market, I thought, it might lend itself to aged care more, just not even thinking about disability care. So we were quite shocked at the uptake, but it makes perfect sense now in hindsight in that it's a passive product. It's not something you have to wear. You don't have to advertise the fact that maybe you need assistance sometimes. So it allows people to maintain that dignity, which is really important, especially if you're living independently.
I thought the numbers would be 80-20 or 70-30.
Yeah. But
so the aged care market is so big.
Yes.
How big is the aged care market? I mean, sure, you've done the numbers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So look, compared to disability care, so you got roughly 1.2, 1.3 million people receiving various kinds of aged care funding, be that, residential aged care, your home care market, CHISP, which is a Commonwealth Home Support Program, which is disappearing. There's nearly 800,000 people just on that alone. So that's the market. But there's roughly 4.5 million Australians that are over the age of 65. So it's a lot of people that are not receiving funding that are still paying for their own care. So as far as that market goes, it is significantly bigger than some of the disability care market. But with that being said, the way that the funding is structured is completely different. So interestingly, people that are receiving NDIS funding, they have so much choice and control over where their funding is spent. And that's really important. So we have people call up that say, I want your product. I've had a look at everything on the market and this is the one I want. And then, their provider will fund it. In aged care, it works the opposite. The funding is actually provided to the provider, and then the provider work with the elderly person to decide where the funding is spent. So you often get a lot of decisions that are not made by the person who's ultimately the funding is there to care for, and I think that's why we've seen such a big shift. Even though the market is so much bigger in aged care, a lot of these providers that we are partnering with now have arrangements with other technology companies, and that's why we're sort of coming in and changing our business model to work with providers in partnership. So people can approach us directly, but we'll also work with their provider if needed.
Speaking of approaching, Kat, do you work with only providers, or is there often families, participants coming to you directly to talk and query more
about the products? As business liaison officer, I mainly deal with providers first. We have another team that deals with families, but I will talk with the participant if the provider lets me. So that's the choice. So I mainly get providers come to me and say, hey, I've had my client reach out to me. I'm doing the hard work, and I give them the necessary information so that their client can make a choice.
So the support team behind you guys, how many staff are in the office or whatnot?
It's about 25 of us in total. So we're doing a lot for a very small team, but we are an AI company, so we automate as much internally as we can. But that is rapidly growing. I mean, that has more than doubled in the last 12 months, and I'll probably double again in the next 12.
So customer support service, 24/7 support, work hours only. If a family wanted to talk to someone it's during work hours only?
With me,
The sales support team.
whole team. Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Extended business hours, because we do support people across Australia. But it is definitely something that we are going through the process of improving, because we do have that need. We have that 24/7 sort of arrangement now. We have a lot of people that rely on our product. So we are progressively increasing that.
It's a very user-friendly product, I assume, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And as with all tech companies, it's supposed to be user-friendly, simple to install, low maintenance. Maintenance-wise, it's just battery backup. Battery, that's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and also too, like we talked about, the updates. It's just like your phone. It automatically does it.
Yeah.
Set and forget.
What's the negatives here? I mean, I can't find a reason why you wouldn't purchase the product, right?
We tried to build it so that there wasn't many negatives. I mean, this is one of those things that when we set about building this product, we wanted it to be something that was a no-brainer decision. People just go, well, why would I purchase anything else? Why would I spend my funding on anything else? That's what we wanted. So there are very few negatives. The hurdle that we have to overcome is that, we've a company incorporated in October 2019. Probably wouldn't recommend having a startup for a pandemic in future if anyone listening to this is thinking of doing so. But we are the new kids on the block. But that's what happens when you have a new technology. It has to be new. So that's the only challenge that we have to overcome, is that people go, well, is this going to work? But just the sheer uptake we've had so far, the fact that we have foreign government that are investing in our product, that's, enough of a feather in the cap for me.
Other products out there. I mean, you just said so that your product doesn't do everything at all. It doesn't do everything, but it does most things. What other products out there would complement your product in the home for the participants?
Yeah, look, we do have some partnerships with other providers and other products. Pretty quickly on, we identified that we're not a whole solution. There are going to be other AT devices. There are going to be other products, other software suites that providers and carers and families are going to want to use to help provide care. So we have a completely open back end. So we're open to integrating with everybody else. So we'll integrate with other monitoring dashboards, care management systems, other smart monitoring platforms. So there are other technologies out there. Like, we're going through the process of integrating with all your popular wearables at the moment. So your Fitbits and Apple Watches and all that sort of stuff to complement the data we're already capturing. We can integrate with other smart monitoring. So there is some, power plug monitoring solutions and small movement sensor monitoring solutions. And a lot of these companies that, at a glance look like competitors of ours, they actually sell our product because we do something that they can't. So for us, it's not an us versus them conversation. It's a how do we do it together?
I think I've covered all my questions. Please, Kat, what words of advice do you have for families or providers or participants who are unaware of this? And all they know out there is automation. Google, Alexa, that's all they know about. And maybe the odd participant may know about the pendants and the safety stuff.
That's the thing, getting the knowledge out there, because you don't know. And that's my job, basically, is to get our word, our name, what we do out there. And then you get to make a choice on what you think is best for you, because it's your care. It's your family's care. So that's the whole point of my job as Business Liaison Officer at HomeGuardian, is to create that trust and relationship, and put it in layman's terms, so to speak. So it's not just talking technology terms. You understand it. You know what we're going to do for you.
Providers can obviously tap into the information, the data. That will really help them, because in a given house there may be 3 providers walking through the door, carers coming through the door, maybe even more during the 24-hour period. And not all the carers, support workers will be aware of all the information in their house relevant to the individual there.
Yes, that's quite true.
So the business behind them, the management business who manage the support workers, will have access to the data.
Yeah, so there's an app for the families, but there also is a dashboard for the providers as well. So we can give that, and obviously they have or can see and have more access to information than the family, because it can be a bit confusing how much data we can pull. But yeah, there is 2 different dashboards.
That's great. Any words of advice you have for families, participants, providers?
If you're curious, come learn.
Kane?
Yeah.
From a technical point of view?
Yes.
It's new, startup, it's AI. It's not perfect yet, I'm sure. How much more to go, how much more time frame or how much more development R&D before you feel it is the perfect product?
Oh, it's already there. Honestly, what we're doing is just leaps and bounds above everything else. You mentioned, Amazon Alexa and Google Home and that kind of stuff before. What we've done is something that they can't do, because what they do and the way that this works and the way all your phone works too, when you say, hey Google, hey Siri, that kind of thing, is that it will capture what you've said, stream it off to their cloud, process it, and send back the result. And then that's how it works. That's why it doesn't work when the internet is disconnected. Our product processes everything on the fly, on the edge. So what that means is that we don't send or save or store or create any photos or videos or images or anything anywhere. That allows us to maintain the privacy and dignity of the people using our product. And that's one of the reasons that we do things fundamentally different. So our product is already ahead of everything, and it is already in a fantastic spot. But the features that we're building, that two-way communication piece, that telehealth piece, all of these other elements that we're adding to it, I don't think there's ever going to be a point where I go, okay, this is it, we're done. I think it'll just be forever improvement.
You just mentioned about power outage. Internet outage.
Yes.
Sorry. So there's a 4G backup internal?
So what we actually, it's not internal to the unit, but what we can provide is what we call a connector, 4G connector. And it's essentially it's a fancy HomeGuardian branded router, and it's not something that we, look to make any money on. It's more of a how to overcome connectivity issues. So that's something we can provide with our product. Likewise as well with the battery backup side of things, we have the ability to do that. So our device has just got one plug on the back. It's USB-C, so you can plug it in upside down any which way. It'll go in. And you can power our device with any sort of simple battery pack that you would use to charge a phone, and it lasts for hours and hours and hours.
How often do you need to recharge the device?
So the device itself is plugged into mains power usually, and then those battery packs, depends on how big they are. But to be completely honest with you, unless you're having a power outage for days at a time, in which case you've probably got some bigger challenges to worry about, then yeah, that'll last no problem.
So in theory, if there was a grid power blackout, power's down, no internet as well, the device with the 4G is still...
Yeah, correct. With that 4G and the battery backup, it'll still function no problem.
Oh, good. That's great. If they did fall in a house by themselves, no one around, can they talk to the device and say something to bring alert?
So
to their safety, well-being?
So the device will actually trigger an alert without them having to do anything. The idea being, if you're unconscious because you've fallen and knocked your head, how will it do that? Some people will nominate themselves as the first emergency contact, and I'll give you an example of why that can be important. We have a number of participants who use our product that have epilepsy. So when they're not having an episode, they otherwise, have no ability issues. And this lady would store things under her bed. So she'd get right down on the floor to pull these things out. And in the early days, our product would see her get down on the floor and freak out and think that she's had a fall, that she's having a seizure. But that's an incidence where we would nominate her as the emergency contact. So the device would actually reach out to her via SMS, smartphone, app notification, automated phone call. We can even do WhatsApp Messenger if you want. Almost anything except carrier pigeon. But our product will reach out to the person themselves and say, look, we've detected a fall. Is everything okay? And they can sort of say yes, because I was just on the ground or whatever it may be. And the device will sort of reset and go back to monitoring the space.
Could a participant go lie on the couch, fall asleep, wake up, and then realise they can't get up for whatever reason? Could they say to the device, help me, please someone call for help?
Yeah, so the voice activation and voice assistant are actually some of the features that we're just building now. But like we said, anybody that already has our product or anybody that purchases it now will get that functionality. It'll just be delivered via an update.
Wow, that's wonderful. Any words of advice, Kane, for anyone who already has product out there in their house which may or may not be working, or considering other expensive products out there?
Look, I mean, I think funding is precious, and when you get it, you absolutely need to make the right decision on what you spend it on. I'm hoping that anybody listening to this today has sort of realised that our product has broad application and a large number of people it is applicable to. And I would say to you that we are by far the world leader in what we're doing. So if you think it will give you peace of mind, if you think it will assist with somebody that you are caring for, then I think it's important that you really take a good look at our product and hopefully come to the conclusion that we've come to, and that it's the best way to do things, and hopefully it'll help you.
That's great. I think you guys have a great product, a great story. I hope you guys network more in the community with all the providers and the expos to bring awareness to what you're doing. We will certainly promote this podcast on LinkedIn, social media, Instagram and Facebook to let participants and families and other groups know as well. We'll talk to our clients about them as investors themselves purchasing this product to give peace of mind to the potential end tenant moving in, so they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's one less worry if it's already there. If it's $580, $590, it's one less worry, you know?
Absolutely. And look, that's one of the things too that we sort of think when we talk to people that are developing property and building houses for people, elderly people or people living with disabilities, is that our product can be a point of difference to you, because if you've got, your development or your housing and there's one down the road, except yours has got the best technology in the world, that's an easy selling point.
I think a last thing I'll probably do in the coming week or 2 weeks is get back to you guys and ask you your opinion. Certainly our clients will want to know, well, this is nice to avoid the house or to avoid being superseded by any other products out there. What is the perfect package, HomeGuardian AI, plus what else could I do to future-proof my investment for my participants? I'll be keen to know your thoughts later on down the track as to what do you recommend to bolt on to this
not a problem
package for them, so that when they talk to providers 6 months out from completion, they say, look, this house is all be kitted out totally.
Yep.
This is what it's all in there, and you have to worry about applying for funding. It's all paid for, free, done. So I'll be keen to know your thoughts and add it to our website as well as to products to go with this, and also maybe a flyer as well. So
sure.
It's been a pleasure having you guys in the office here in Brisbane. And if any of our listeners want to know more, how do they contact you guys? What website, what phone number?
HomeGuardian AI is the best to go Google.
.com.au or?
No, HomeGuardian.ai is the website.
It gets me every time too.
Perfect.
AI for artificial intelligence. And the phone number is 1300 248 324.
Is there any videos on YouTube about what you guys do?
Yeah. And on the website too, there's videos, there's our TV ad, which is an automated video, explains the product really nicely. There's videos of me actually showing you how the product works, throwing myself on the floor and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So yeah, if you want to have a bit of a laugh at me at the same time, then that's on the website too.
Just Google HomeGuardian AI and there's all these links to all this information. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.